He had his hand on her lower back like it already belonged to him. That was the first thing I noticed when Darren Weston stepped up to the mic. He didn't move it away either, just kept it there, fingers resting right where her dress dipped. And she didn't flinch, didn't even pretend to pull away. My wife, Kelsey, stood there grinning like she was the star of the damn show. My name's Ryan. I'm 37. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I work for the city's transportation bureau. That night wasn't supposed to be about me. It was the launch of Weston Automotive's new luxury EV line. Sleek, overpriced, and plastered across every billboard in town. Kelsey had begged me to come, said it was important for her job. Big night, big people. It's just networking, she'd said. While you're listening, tell us which city or country you're watching from. But watching her now, laughing at his every joke, fingers lightly brushing his wrist as he introduced her to execs, I felt like a third wheel at my own wife's party. She caught my eye across the room, gave a quick wave, and turned back to him. That was it. Like I was just some city guy who wandered in from a zoning meeting. I waited until his speech ended. Applause, cameras, a round of champagne glasses. Then I moved, grabbed her arm, not hard, just enough to steer her toward a side hallway. Cool marble under our shoes, quiet compared to the packed showroom. What the hell was that? I kept my voice low, controlled, barely. She looked annoyed. What are you talking about? You standing next to him like his damn wife. What is going on between you and Darren? Her face didn't change. That made it worse. Nothing's going on. It's just business. I told you this is important. Don't embarrass me. I stared at her. You call that professional? You were hanging off him in front of my coworkers. Right then, Darren strolled into the hallway like he owned it, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a glass of scotch. Hey, Ryan, he said, too friendly. You always this fired up about bike lanes and bus stops? He clapped my shoulder like I was some mutt he'd tossed a treat to. Kelsey didn't say a word. She looked at him, not me, and smiled. Then she stepped closer, leaned into him like it was natural. He slid his hand right onto her hip as they turned to walk away. I just stood there, 8 years of marriage, gone, in public, like it was nothing. I went back to work Monday morning, expecting whispers, smirks, maybe even a few pitying looks. Instead, Marion was waiting by my desk before I even had my coffee. Ryan, office now. No good morning, no small talk, just straight to it. I followed her down the hall, already bracing for some kind of fallout. Maybe Weston had complained. Maybe Darren wanted me off some project out of spite. Marion shut the door behind us and dropped a thick folder on the table. You're leading this. I opened it and skimmed the title page. Weston Expressway Redevelopment Proposal. My stomach dropped. She sat on the edge of her desk, arms crossed. They want to bulldoze the old Elridge Heights neighborhood, replace it with a showroom, test track, and high-end retail strip. I looked up. You've got to be kidding. Nope. I flipped through the first few pages. Renderings, traffic projections. It all looked shiny and polished, like something Darren would wave around during a speech. They're asking the city to hand over tax breaks and clear out hundreds of residents so they can sell more Teslas? Marion raised an eyebrow. Basically, I shut the folder. This is a conflict of interest. My wife, Kelsey, she works for them. And you've seen the way her boss... I cut myself off. No point dragging the whole mess in. I can't be neutral on this. That's exactly why I want you on it, she said, dead serious. You know the players. You won't fall for their glossy bullshit. This feels like a trap, I muttered. She leaned in. I need someone with spine, Ryan. You've got that, even if your life's currently a dumpster fire. I let out a short laugh, mostly out of disbelief. Thanks. You want to let them steamroll a working-class neighborhood? Go ahead and decline. But if you want to fight for something real, here's your shot. I stared at the file. Part of me wanted to walk. Just leave the mess behind and lick my wounds somewhere quiet. But another part, the one that hadn't completely flatlined Saturday night, started to hum. I had a job to do, and damn it, I was still good at it. I'll take it, I said finally. But if I so much as smell Darren trying to use this to climb higher, I'm putting it in writing. Marion smiled. Good. And Ryan, don't just prove him wrong, prove you're still in this game. I spent the rest of the day in the planning bullpen, reading every line of Weston's proposal. My coworkers didn't say much, just nodded as they passed by. No one mentioned the party. No one asked about Kelsey. Maybe they already knew. Maybe they didn't need to. The plan was aggressive, raising a dense but long-ignored part of the city, carving it up for sleek buildings and test loops, calling it revitalization. But all I saw was displacement dressed up in the corporate buzzwords. I made notes, highlighted sections, tagged questions. Not because I was angry, though I was, but because I couldn't stand the idea of them winning by default. Not on my watch. By 5:30, I'd already drafted a list of datasets I'd need: commute patterns, business licenses, population density. The review would take weeks, and if Weston thought this was going to be a rubber stamp, they picked the wrong guy. I tossed the file into my bag, stood up, and grabbed my jacket. Time to remind people I still mattered. I got home that night, dropped my bag by the door, and stopped cold. Her closet was empty, not half empty, just gone. Hangers swinging like someone had yanked everything in one sweep. Bathroom drawers left open, no note, no goodbye. Just vacuum lines in the carpet where her side of the bed used to be. I stood there staring like an idiot until my phone buzzed. Kelsey, I'll come by tomorrow to get the rest. Shouldn't take long. I didn't text back. I didn't sleep much either. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney named Lorna Weaver, came recommended by a guy in permits who'd gone through hell last year. She met me over lunch, short and to the point. Michigan's a no-fault state. Courts don't care about cheating. Doesn't matter what she did, only what's fair. I rubbed my jaw. I'm not after her money. She just got promoted, didn't she? VP of Expansion? I nodded. While still married to you, that means part of that title, and whatever financial benefit comes with it, legally belongs to the marriage until the divorce finalizes. I don't care, I said. She can keep it. I just want out. She gave me a hard look. Don't roll over, not for her and not for him. You don't have to go scorched earth, but don't let them walk all over you either. That stuck with me. The next night, I parked a block from our building and watched through the tinted windshield as Kelsey and her sister carried boxes down the stairs. Two of her friends helped, ones I barely recognized, laughed the whole time like it was a group project. Not a word from her, not a glance. I didn't go inside until they were gone. The apartment felt hollow. Her perfume still clung to the couch cushions. I tossed my keys on the counter and cracked open the envelope Marion had given me at work. That's when I saw it. Under Darren's name on the project roster, Kelsey Monroe, co-lead, expansion development. I read it twice, like the letters might rearrange themselves. So that's why she was always around him. That's why he couldn't wipe the smirk off his face. She didn't just leave me, she was building something with him, while I was still signing the lease. I poured 2 fingers of bourbon and sat down hard in front of my laptop. For a few minutes, I just stared at the screen. I could have thrown it through the window. I could have called her, screamed into the phone, demanded an answer that wouldn't come. But I didn't. Instead, I opened the PDF of their full redevelopment plan and started reading, line by line. Their pitch looked airtight on the surface, but right there, buried in their infrastructure maps, I spotted it. A routing error in their access loop that would choke off 2 residential blocks during peak hours. It wasn't a small glitch. It was a disaster waiting to happen. I zoomed in, cross-referenced it with city GIS files. They'd rerouted through a feeder road not zoned for industrial traffic, and hadn't accounted for the bus depot that'd get cut off in the process. It wasn't just sloppy, it was arrogant. They thought no one would look that close. I leaned back in my chair, glass sweating in my hand, heart still pounding. She might have walked out like I didn't exist. He might think I'm just some overworked pencil pusher from the city. But I know roads, I know choke points. I know how to tear a plan down, quietly, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but glossy bullshit and PR spin. So, I hit save on the file, drained the glass, and cracked my knuckles. Let them play flashy, I'll play smart. I came in early the next morning, threw the flawed Weston plan on the table, and called in every person I trusted at the bureau. 10 chairs filled fast. Traffic engineers, zoning guys, a couple economists, even Carmen from housing development. No one asked why. They knew something was up. I stood at the whiteboard, red marker in hand. Their test loop bottlenecks residential access. Their traffic study is padded with cherry-picked data. And they want the city to give them a 50-year tax abatement. Murmurs around the room. Carmen narrowed her eyes. You serious? That's damn near generational wealth for one corporation. I nodded. With almost zero compensation for the people they'll displace. Whole blocks of homes, schools, churches. One of the traffic guys, Troy, leaned forward. You want to fight this? I looked him dead in the eye. No, I want to beat it. That's how it started. For the next 3 weeks, we worked every night, after hours, unpaid, half of us running on vending machine coffee and spite. We built our counter-proposal from the ground up. Instead of wiping out Elridge Heights, we kept the neighborhood intact, focused on public transit upgrades, added protected bike lanes, wider sidewalks, a new mixed-use zoning proposal to allow housing over garages and repair shops. A local mechanic co-op was even pitched for the center lot, where Weston wanted their glass-walled showroom. We modeled traffic flow based on real data. We used economic impact projections that didn't assume everyone would just magically afford electric SUVs. We made the damn thing human. One night, I was still at my desk after 10. The building was quiet except for the low hum of the AC and some cleaning crew in the lobby. I was tweaking the last section on revenue projections when I heard a voice behind me. This is real, Marion said, holding a styrofoam cup and looking over my shoulder. Didn't hear you come in. She stepped closer, scanning the screen. You've got a full alt design, land use overlays, displacement mitigation, small business integration. Jesus, Ryan. I turned to face her. It's not revenge. Sure, she said, dry. Just coincidence you're dismantling your ex's flagship project. I exhaled through my nose. I'm not doing this to get back at her. No, she asked, raising an eyebrow. Maybe 5%, I admitted. The rest? Because Weston's plan is bullshit and ours isn't. She smirked. That's what I needed to hear. She took a copy of the draft and started flipping through it. You know this'll piss off people in high places, right? This isn't some little side hustle anymore. If this gets out, you're not just poking the bear, you're shoving a stick up its ass. I'm not scared of Darren Weston. I didn't say you should be scared of him, she said. But don't underestimate what a man with PR firms and donors in his pocket can do. I looked her square in the face. He can do whatever the hell he wants. I'm not backing down. After that, things picked up speed. We prepped a full visual presentation. Maps, overlay animations, cost-benefit breakdowns. Kept it off the city's internal system to avoid leaks. We used flash drives, paper copies. Trusted only 3 admin staff with access. But the rumors still started to spread. I heard them in the break room. Council's already leaning toward Weston. This whole task force is just for show. Darren's got half the finance committee in his back pocket. Marion didn't say much, but she didn't stop us either. That told me everything I needed to know. They thought we were playing defense. They didn't realize we were building a better playbook from scratch, and when the time came, we'd make sure the whole damn city saw it. By the time Marion scheduled the Joint Infrastructure Council hearing, the whispers had turned into full-blown headlines. Transportation Bureau counters major redevelopment proposal. Internal revolt slows Weston expansion. City showdown, Bureau plan goes public. We hadn't even presented yet, and the press was already circling. Darren must have been losing his mind because my phone rang before I could even finish my morning coffee. Blocked number. I picked up. Yeah? You're a real piece of work, Ryan. Darren's voice was calm, but tight, like he was forcing it. Takes one to know one, I said, leaning back in my chair. You're sabotaging Kelsey's career. You know that, right? This whole thing, it's personal. No, I said. It's professional. What's personal is you screwing my wife and expecting me to play nice about it. She's not your wife anymore. She still was when it started. He went quiet for a beat. Then, you're out of your depth here. I've got backers, donors, people who matter. You've got what? A couple spreadsheets and a moral compass? I smiled. That's all I need. He scoffed. You're gonna regret this. See you at the hearing, I said, and hung up. An hour later, I got a text from Kelsey. Kelsey, can we meet? Just want to talk for a minute. I stared at the message for a while, then replied, Fine. Java House on Cherry. 4 o'clock. She was already there when I arrived, corner table, sunglasses still on, fingers tapping the side of a manila envelope. I sat across from her. She didn't smile. "Thanks for coming," she said. "Let's just get this over with." She slid the envelope across the table. "Signed divorce papers. My lawyer said you'd want a clean version." I took the envelope but didn't open it. "That it?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "I didn't plan for this to happen." "Bullshit." Her voice lowered. "I'm serious, Ryan. I didn't mean for it to blow up like this." "But you meant to leave." She didn't answer that. Just looked out the window like it might give her a different exit. "You happy now?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "I am. It's different, but yeah, I am." I leaned forward. "So why are we here? You didn't need to hand these off in person." She stiffened a little. "I just thought it was the right thing." "No," I said. "You thought you might get the chance to calm me down. Maybe steer the project back your way before the hearing." "That's not true." I stared at her. She blinked twice, looked down at her coffee. "You nervous?" I asked. She didn't look up. "No." "You should be." She picked up her cup and took a slow sip, trying to hold steady. But I could see her pulse ticking at the base of her throat, hear the tiniest crack in her voice. "You're coming for me, Ryan," she said, finally meeting my eyes. "And for Darren. We know it." "I'm not coming for you. I'm defending something you were willing to burn down for a promotion. You think I don't care about that neighborhood? That I haven't been in those homes, talked to those residents? Then how the hell are you okay with pushing them out for a parking lot?" She looked away. "You said you're happy," I said. "Good for you, but don't try and rewrite it like you're still the one doing good work. That ship sailed." She stood. "I hope you get what you want." I stood too. "I already did." She left without looking back. I sat there for a minute, envelope still on the table. Then I grabbed my phone and pulled up the final renderings of our proposal. Tight, efficient, clean, built with purpose, not ego. Let them keep trying to play me. I was past games. I showed up early to the council chambers. Didn't matter, the place was already packed. Local reporters camped by the front steps. Residents from Elridge Heights lined up outside, holding homemade signs. "We live here. No deal with Weston." Inside, every seat was taken. People stood along the back walls and squeezed into corners. The room buzzed like a hive. I spotted Darren across the aisle, center row, arms folded tight. Kelsey sat beside him, dressed sharp, hair done up. Neither looked my way. Marion leaned over to me. "Just present the facts. Let the plan speak." "That's the idea." Council President Martinez opened the hearing, then called Darren and Kelsey to the podium first. Of course they were first. Flashiest thing in the room. Darren stepped up like it was his wedding day. "Thank you, council members," he began, voice slick. "Weston Automotive is proud to bring this bold vision to Grand Rapids, a modern hub for innovation, jobs, and sustainable growth." Behind him, giant screens lit up with 3D flyovers, sleek buildings, rooftop gardens, self-driving test tracks, all set to orchestral music. He talked tax revenue, employment spikes, green energy. Kelsey followed with a polished rundown of phasing timelines and local vendor partnerships. Her voice was smooth, her hands steady. It looked good, I'll give them that. But it was hollow. Not once did they mention the people already living there. Not one face from Elridge Heights showed up in their pitch. When they finished, a few scattered claps came from the front. Some suits I didn't recognize. Darren turned and gave the room a salesman's grin. Then it was my turn. I stood up slow and walked to the mic. No slides, no music. Just the plan printed in black and white behind me. "My name's Ryan McCabe," I said. "I work for the city's Transportation Bureau. My team's been working on a counter-proposal. One that doesn't erase hundreds of families to make room for showrooms." I heard a few murmurs in the back. Cameras clicked. "We're not against growth," I continued. "We're against pretending growth only comes through demolition. Our plan upgrades infrastructure, expands transit access, and brings jobs without pushing people out." I tapped a map behind me. "We restructured the test loop, preserves access roads, keeps school bus routes intact. No bottlenecks, no rerouting emergency services. I moved through the data, actual commuter impact, housing retention models, revenue distribution over 10 years. Weston's model relies on tax breaks. Ours doesn't. Weston's plan displaces over 400 residents. Ours displaces 0. That's when the applause started. It wasn't polite. It was loud from the back rows. The residents, I kept going. Our design includes community-owned commercial space, co-ops, a mechanic training center. This isn't about headlines. It's about who gets to stay. I paused, looked straight at the council. I know it's tempting to chase what looks shiny, but this city isn't a showroom. It's a home. When I stepped back, the room erupted. People stood, clapped. One older guy in a lion's cap shouted, "That's the damn truth!" I sat down without looking toward Darren or Kelsey. Marion gave me a nod. Then came public comment. A few execs and local business leaders spoke up for Weston, talked about economic momentum, investor confidence, opportunity zones. It sounded like a Wall Street echo chamber. Then the residents came forward. A grandmother from Elridge talked about her house being built by her father in the 60s. A single mom said she couldn't afford to move again. A high school student talked about wanting to walk to school without fences and construction zones. One after another, real voices with real stakes. By the time the last speaker stepped down, the mood had flipped. Even the council members looked different, less stiff, more present. Council went into private deliberation. We all sat silent, waiting. I watched Darren tapping his pen nonstop. Kelsey sat motionless, eyes forward. They returned 40 minutes later. Council President cleared his throat. On the motion to approve the Weston Expressway redevelopment plan, motion denied, 5-4. Gasps, cheers. A few shouts from the back. On the motion to adopt the Transportation Bureau's alternative plan, approved, 5-4. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Kelsey stood but didn't look at me, just grabbed her bag, followed Darren as he stormed out, jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might crack. Marion leaned close. "You just shook the whole damn tree." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. By the next morning, Weston had the gloves off. Full-page spreads in the Grand Rapids Tribune. Transportation Bureau kills jobs, blocks growth. A local news anchor even said we were anti-innovation. They called our plan short-sighted, a bureaucratic stall tactic. Darren went on a business podcast ranting about government overreach and backwards thinking. His voice was tight with fake calm, like someone trying to sell steak knives while bleeding out. And then the lawsuit landed. Some bullshit legal action claiming breach of contract with the city, plus damages for interference with economic development. It was noise, legal scare tactics, but enough to get people rattled. Emails flew, phones rang, council staff scrambled. Marion pulled me into her office that afternoon. "They're not backing down." I didn't expect them to. She slid a coffee across her desk. "We hold the line, but we make the plan bulletproof." So that's what we did. We rechecked every zoning label, every permit path, every traffic flow sim. Carmen revised the displacement data to include generational wealth impact. Troy reworked the cost projections down to the cent. I stayed past midnight most nights. But out in the city, people started to rally. A group of high schoolers marched from Elridge Heights to City Hall with handmade signs. The local community council formed a coalition with independent auto shops, wanting in on the revamp. Food trucks started showing up outside council meetings. It wasn't just a project anymore. It was a movement. Then one morning, as I was finishing edits to the final environmental review, Marion walked in, holding her phone. "She's out." I looked up. "What?" "Kelsey, left Weston. Quiet exit, no press release." I blinked. "Since when?" "Last night." Words trickling through City Hall. I didn't know what to say. I thought I'd feel something. Relief, satisfaction. I felt nothing. A few days later, the divorce finalized. No drama, no yelling. Just an envelope slid under my apartment door. One signature, hers. I stared at it for a long time, pen in hand, before signing my side. Done. I didn't even pour a drink. 1 week before the council's final vote, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. I didn't. "Ryan?" Her voice, calm but tentative. It's Kelsey. I didn't respond right away. I I wanted to ask something, she continued. Would it be okay if I spoke at the hearing? I sat back in my chair. Seriously? I know how it looks, but I'm not with Weston anymore. I believe in what you're doing. I want to help. You sure you're not just trying to rewrite the narrative before your next job interview? There was a pause. Then, I deserve that, but this isn't about me. I'm not going to stop you, I said. It's public comment. Say what you want. She let out a slow breath. Thank you. I didn't say goodbye, just ended the call. I sat there, phone face down on my desk, eyes on the rendering of the Elridge district. She was out. Darren was scrambling. The lawsuit was circling the drain. We weren't just winning, we were building something that actually mattered. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't wondering what she was really planning to say. The city council chambers felt even tighter this time. Same building, same seats, whole new pressure in the air. Every row was full, residents, local business owners, reporters elbow to elbow. News vans clogged the street outside. You couldn't hear yourself think walking in. Marion handed me the updated file as I took my seat. Last edits are in. You ready? As I'll ever be. The hearing opened with the usual procedural stuff. Then Council President Martinez called for final presentations. I walked to the podium and clicked on the first slide. Our revised proposal is the result of months of work and dozens of public meetings. It's more than a development plan. It's a partnership with the people who actually live here. I pointed to the visuals behind me. Updated zoning overlays, added bus routes, green corridors that preserve trees and parks. We've incorporated flood mitigation, updated mixed-use density projections, and secured nonprofit commitments for job training. I locked eyes with Councilmember Langston, who'd been leaning Weston before. This isn't about stopping progress. It's about directing it where it matters most. The applause hit louder than I expected. I didn't flinch this time. I sat down as Darren stepped up next, suit a little rumpled, tie crooked like he'd gotten dressed in a rush. His voice wasn't slick this time. It was sharp, defensive. He leaned hard into job numbers, claimed delays were costing the city money, insisted our plan was untested, idealistic, unscalable. No one's arguing it sounds good, he snapped. But we live in the real world. This city needs growth, fast. He didn't mention Kelsey once. When he finished, the applause was light, respectful but flat. Then the moderator asked for any final public comment. Kelsey stood. For a second, nobody moved. I watched her walk to the mic in heels that clicked too loud in the silence. She wore a gray blazer and jeans, hair tied back. Nothing flashy. She cleared her throat. My name is Kelsey Monroe, she said. Until last week, I worked for Weston Automotive as VP of Expansion. I was one of the architects of the original redevelopment plan. People turned, cameras clicked. Marion leaned forward. I believed in it, she continued. I sold it. I fought for it. But I missed the impact. I missed what we were really asking people to give up. Her voice cracked slightly, not performative, real. I sat in rooms where we talked more about investor confidence than school zoning, where renderings mattered more than rent prices. She gestured to our map behind her. This alternative isn't just smart planning, it's moral planning. It proves we don't have to bulldoze neighborhoods to create opportunity. Councilmember Langston folded his arms, watching her carefully. Kelsey finished with a simple line. I was wrong, and I support this plan. She stepped away before anyone could clap, and they didn't, not right away. It wasn't silence. It was weight. Even the council seemed thrown off. A few leaned in, whispering across their mics. I stayed seated, eyes forward. I didn't know what to feel. I just knew the room had shifted. Council went into final deliberation. 15 minutes later, President Martinez returned. On the matter of final approval of the Transportation Bureau redevelopment plan, he looked around, slow and deliberate. The council votes 6-3 in favor. Gasps, a few cheers. Someone in the back whooped. I didn't move. I just let it hit. 6-3, we won. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Darren stand up. He didn't speak, didn't shake hands, Just walked straight down the center aisle and out the door like a man walking off a cliff. Kelsey was gone too. I scanned the back rows, checked the hallway. Nothing. She didn't wait for a thank you, didn't try to talk. And maybe that was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever get. The bulldozers rolled in 2 weeks after the vote, not to tear down, but to build up. Real upgrades, concrete poured for new sidewalks, bus shelters with solar panels. The old Elridge playground got fenced off and fenced back in with brand new equipment. You could feel the shift in the air, louder, messier, but alive. Community volunteers showed up every weekend. Guys who ran garages on Monroe started mapping out their co-op layout. A retired teacher named Gloria organized a community plaza plan with shaded benches and a mobile library stop. Everywhere I walked, people waved, called me by name. Of course, the mayor took full credit. Ribbon cuttings, press photos, speeches about visionary leadership and inclusive growth. He didn't mention the months we spent fighting off Weston's bulldozers, or the nights our team ran on vending machine coffee and cheap ramen. But I didn't care. Not really. I wasn't doing it for headlines. Marion called me into her office the day after the groundbreaking. "You're not going to be stuck in that cubicle anymore," she said, tossing a new nameplate across the desk. "Ryan McCabe, Director, Strategic Redevelopment." I picked it up, stared at it. "Seriously? Your promotion's official. And by the way," she added, grinning, "you've been invited to speak at the National Planning Conference in Denver, panel on equitable development. They want to hear about Elridge." That one hit harder than I expected, not because it meant anything big on paper, but because someone out there, someone beyond this city, thought what we did here mattered. A few months later, I swung by the site to check progress on the public garage space. It was a sunny Friday afternoon. Dust in the air, saws whining, guys in hard hats everywhere. And that's when I saw her, Kelsey, standing across the lot with a small crew, pointing at a tangle of utility lines near the sidewalk. She had a clipboard in one hand, a ponytail, boots covered in dust. Not dressed for show, dressed to work. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and chose not to wave. I stood there for a minute, then kept walking. No words exchanged, no need. A week later, I found a small white envelope tucked into my office inbox. No return address. Inside, one line on thick cardstock. "Thanks for reminding me what real progress looks like." No signature. Didn't need one. I read it once, folded it back up, dropped it in the bottom drawer of my desk, behind old traffic reports and zoning maps I'd probably never touch again. I never wrote back. Didn't need to. The sidewalks we laid down, the businesses we kept in place, the families who didn't have to pack up and leave. That was my answer. 6 months later, I walked through the new Elridge Plaza like I didn't used to flinch every time I passed this block. The smell of grilled onions and garlic hit first. Street vendors lined the sidewalk under striped tents, kids darting between them with snow cones and dripping popsicles. A little jazz group played near the fountain. Somebody's dog chased a soccer ball and knocked over a folding chair. The place felt lived in. Real. I slowed near the edge of the plaza, watching a group of teenagers hang around the new bus stop, backpacks slung low, laughing like they owned the world. And maybe now they kinda did. A cafe owner I'd seen before stepped out from behind his cart. Middle-aged guy in a tiger's cap and a grease-stained apron. "Hey," he called, waving me over. "You're the guy who saved this place, right?" I chuckled, took the espresso he held out. "Nah, it wasn't just me," he grinned. "Still, thank you." I nodded and took a sip. Strong, bitter, perfect. The kind of taste that says you made it through. Across the street, by the old auto parts shop, I caught movement. Someone standing alone on the sidewalk. Darren. He looked smaller somehow. No entourage, no camera crew. Just a man in a too expensive coat with no one listening to him anymore. He didn't say a word, didn't wave. Just stood there watching the plaza, the people, the life he never gave a damn about. Then he turned and walked off. No fireworks, no confrontation, just silence. And you know what? I felt nothing. No anger, no rush of pride, just clarity. The best revenge wasn't crushing him, it was outlasting him, and leaving something behind that'll still be here long after we're both forgotten.